true greatness begins not with strength, but with surrender. It doesn't come wrapped in comfort or applause, and it doesn't arrive when a man feels ready. It arrives when he is most uncertain, most vulnerable, when he is stripped of everything he once relied on. The man chosen for a higher purpose is not crowned in glory, he is broken in silence. He is not lifted up in the beginning, he is brought low, because before he can carry the weight of greatness, he must learn how to kneel under the weight of pressure. Before he can lead, he must learn how to be led through the storm. That is the paradox of purpose. God does not use the man who is already standing tall. He uses the one who has fallen, the one who has bled, the one who has wrestled with pain and loss and still chose to rise. He does not anoint the comfortable, he anoints the crushed, because a man who has never been broken will never understand how to build. A man who has never been wounded will never know how to heal others. There is a depth of wisdom that only comes through suffering. There is a level of vision that only pain can awaken. It is in those silent nights, in those moments of confusion and despair, that the fire of purpose begins to flicker. Slowly, quietly it grows, not in the light of applause, but in the shadows of adversity. The world teaches us to chase strength, to hide weakness, to build walls around our pain. But God allows pain not to destroy, but to develop. He breaks what is fragile so it can be rebuilt stronger. He removes what is false so the truth can emerge, and in that process the man is changed, not on the outside, but deep within. He learns to let go of what he once thought mattered. He learns to stop pretending, stop performing, and start becoming. What once looked like a breakdown reveals itself as a breakthrough. What once felt like punishment becomes the preparation for a calling far greater than he imagined. This is the foundation of a life that matters. It is not built on talent alone. It is not built on image or status. It is built on character, on the lessons learned through trials, on the scars earned through experience, on the humility gained through failure. It is built on the realization that strength without depth is hollow, that applause without purpose is meaningless, and that true impact never begins at the top of the mountain, but in the valley where vision is born. The man God wants to use must first lose his dependence on everything but him. He must be emptied of pride, of self-reliance, of every illusion of control, because only then can he be filled with power that doesn't come from within, but from above. Only then can he speak not from theory, but from truth. Only then can he move not by ambition, but by conviction. He becomes a vessel, not of perfection, but of purpose, a man shaped by fire, a man who walks with quiet strength, a man who knows that his calling did not come easy, but that's why it is sacred. So if you feel like you're being broken, if you feel like everything is falling apart, maybe it's not the end, maybe it's the beginning. Maybe it's the moment heaven began to reshape you. Maybe this is not your punishment, but your preparation, because when God breaks a man, it's only because he's about to use him. And when that man rises again, he won't be the same. He will be better. He will be ready. When destiny knocks, it rarely looks the way we expect. It doesn't come wrapped in clarity or comfort. It arrives disguised as chaos, rejection, and pain. The man who is chosen is never simply given his assignment. He is crushed into it. He is pressed, shaken, and stripped of everything he thought made him strong, because true strength isn't revealed in triumph, it's revealed in trial. The breaking is not a moment, it is a process of pruning, of pressing, of purging. And it is not gentle, because purpose does not require the polished, it requires the prepared. The man who will be used must first be misunderstood. He must walk through seasons where no one claps, no one sees, and no one understands. He must endure silence so he learns to listen to a voice deeper than the crowd. He must be broken so he stops depending on what can be taken. God doesn't break a man to harm him. He breaks him to rebuild him. He breaks the illusion so the truth can rise. He breaks the pride so humility can take root. He breaks the plan so purpose can be born, and in that breaking, something sacred happens. The man stops running, he stops performing, he stops chasing what doesn't last, and he starts becoming. Every man who's ever walked in divine purpose has first walked through divine breaking. It's not punishment, it's not failure. It's the furnace where everything false is burned away. The ego, the image, the attachments. They all fall in the fire, and what remains is pure. What remains is real, because the man who has been broken knows what matters. He doesn't move from fear. He moves from faith. He doesn't chase validation. He carries vision, and he understands something most never will, that being broken wasn't the end of him. It was the beginning of who he was truly meant to be. No man becomes strong without struggle. No destiny is fulfilled without resistance. Strength is not something given, it is something forged. It is built in silence, behind closed doors, when no one is watching. It is built in the fight to keep going when everything says to stop. Struggle is not the enemy. It is the fire that reveals what you're made of. Just like pressure creates the diamond and fire purifies the gold, adversity awakens the strength hidden deep inside a man. Without it, greatness is only potential, never power. In the middle of the storm, when everything feels like it's falling apart, something unexpected begins to happen. A deeper strength begins to rise, not physical, not loud, but unshakable. The kind of strength that doesn't panic in the dark, the kind of strength that doesn't beg for escape. It endures, it holds firm, it digs in, because the man who has struggled knows how to survive. He's not easily shaken. He's not easily moved. He doesn't need the applause to keep going. He only needs the fire in his soul that won't let him quit. Every scar tells a story. Every setback holds a seed, and every struggle is a step forward, even when it feels like you're falling. Pain teaches what comfort never could. It sharpens your focus. It humbles your heart. It builds discipline, and it makes sure that when you finally rise, you rise with more than just strength. You rise with wisdom. Struggle doesn't make you weaker. It reveals that you were never as weak as you thought. It exposes a deeper level of endurance, a deeper well of power, and a deeper connection to your purpose. So when the struggle comes, don't despise it. Don't run from it, embrace it, because it's not there to destroy you. It's there to develop you. The man who is strong today was once broken yesterday. The difference is he didn't give up. He understood this. Every struggle is shaping a strength that no storm can shake. Honor never comes before humility. In the divine order of purpose, the man must kneel before he stands. He must be emptied before he can be filled. The heights of greatness are only safe for those who have walked through the depths of humility. Because without humility, honor becomes pride, and pride always leads to downfall. But the man who has been broken, the man who has faced his own weakness, knows that greatness is not about power, it's about responsibility. It's about the ability to carry something bigger than yourself without making it about yourself. God does not elevate the man who is impressed by his own voice. He does not anoint the man chasing attention. He uses the one who has learned the beauty of being unseen, the one who has been silent long enough to hear, the one who doesn't speak to be heard, but to deliver truth. Humility is not weakness. It is clarity. It is the strength to take no credit and give all glory. It is the discipline to choose purpose over pride. And it is the wisdom to realize the position you stand in is not because of who you are, but because of who you've become through the fire. A man who walks in humility is dangerous, not because he demands fear, but because he doesn't need praise. He cannot be bought. He cannot be swayed. He's not moved by applause or criticism. He is grounded. He is steady. He is led by something greater than ego. That's why humility always comes before honor, because only the humble can carry power without becoming corrupted by it. They remember the pain that shaped them. They remember the lessons in the silence, and they never forget that their strength didn't come from themselves. It came through surrender. So if you're walking through loss, through correction, through silence, understand this. It's not rejection, it's refinement. God is not trying to hurt you. He's trying to prepare you. He's teaching you how to stand low, so that when he lifts you high, you won't forget how you got there. Because only the man who walks humbly can carry honor without being destroyed by it. There is a silence that tests every man, a waiting season that feels like abandonment, like the promise has faded, like the path has vanished. But delay is not denial, it is divine strategy. It is the space where faith is proven and character is built. The man who cannot wait cannot lead. The man who rushes the process will ruin the result. because what is built fast often falls faster, but what is forged in time, in testing, in trust, that becomes unshakable. Delays stretch the soul, not to weaken it, but to make room for what is coming. In the delay, everything you believe is questioned. You begin to doubt your calling, your value, your vision. The silence can feel louder than your purpose. But this is where you are invited to shift from feelings to faith, to stop measuring progress by movement and start measuring it by growth. You may not see it, but something is happening within. You are being made ready. You are learning to walk by conviction, not by circumstance, because when the promise finally arrives, it won't just require your dream, it will require your discipline, and delay is where that discipline is formed. Sometimes God holds it back not because you're not worthy, but because you're not ready. Not because He's forgotten you, but because He's forming you. A premature promotion is more dangerous than a prolonged preparation. What you build in waiting will sustain you in walking. Patience is not passive, it's powerful. It's the refusal to settle for anything less than what was promised. It's the ability to trust the process, even when the progress is invisible. And it's the understanding that just because it hasn't happened yet doesn't mean it won't. So don't curse the delay, embrace it, use it, grow in it. Because when the time comes, and the doors open, and the vision unfolds, you will walk into it not as a man desperate for it, but as a man prepared for it. That's the difference between those who fall when they rise, and those who rise and never fall again. Before a man can be trusted with power, he must be stripped of everything that makes him think he doesn't need it. The process of being used always begins with being emptied, stripped of pride, stripped of comfort, stripped of anything that could compete with the calling. It feels like loss, but it's not. It's alignment, because God doesn't strengthen a man by giving him more. He strengthens him by taking away what doesn't belong. What distracts, what divides, what deceives, and in that stripping the truth is revealed. The man was never strong because of what he had. He's strong because of what he learned to live without. In the stripping, you come face to face with your limits. The things you once leaned on are gone. The people you thought would stay have walked away. The plans you built with your own hands collapse, and yet somehow you're still standing, not because of what's around you, but because of what's being built within you. The absence of comfort creates a deeper hunger, a sharper focus, a relentless resolve. What once weakened you now fuels you. What once distracted you now drives you. That's how God strengthens a man, not by protecting him from pain, but by using pain to unlock power. Every man who has been truly used by God has a story of being stripped, not as a punishment, but as preparation. It's the difference between surface strength and soul strength. Surface strength impresses people, but soul strength moves mountains. And you don't get that by being praised. You get it by being pruned. You get it in the moments when you have nothing left but faith. And faith proves to be more than enough. So if you're in a season where it feels like things are being taken, understand this: you're not being reduced. You're being refined. What's being removed isn't your future, it's what was never meant to go with you. What's being taken is making room for what's coming. You're not losing, you're becoming, and the strength being built in this season will carry you through every season that follows. Every calling requires a cost, and that cost is often your old identity. The man you were must die for the man you are meant to become, not because he was weak, but because he is no longer enough for where you're going. The habits, the patterns, the thinking that once sustained you are now the very things holding you back. Growth demands a burial. There is no resurrection without death. There is no rise without release. And the hardest thing for any man to do is let go of who he thought he was so he can step into who he was always meant to be. This death isn't loud, it's quiet, it's internal. It's a slow surrender of the ego, the masks, the old stories. It's the moment when ambition bows to purpose, when striving is replaced with stillness, when you stop chasing validation and start chasing truth. And it hurts, because that old version of you fought hard to survive. He built walls to protect himself. He learned how to perform. He learned how to pretend. But now he must be laid to rest, because the calling on your life doesn't need a performer. It needs a vessel. One that is pure, one that is real, one that has nothing to prove and everything to give. Death of the old self is the beginning of clarity. You start seeing what matters. You start hearing the voice that was always there, just drowned out by the noise of your own ambition. You become dangerous, not because you're aggressive, but because you're focused, not because you're perfect, but because you're surrendered. You no longer serve the image, you serve the mission, and that changes everything. So don't fight the process. Don't cling to what no longer fits. Let the old version of you fall away. He got you here, but he can't take you further. What's ahead requires a new you, a stronger, wiser, more grounded you. And that version is waiting on the other side of your surrender. Faith is not proven in the light. It is forged in the fire. The furnace is where belief is tested, not when everything is working, but when everything is falling apart. It's easy to speak of faith when the path is clear, but real faith is revealed when there is no path at all, when the heat is rising, when the answers are gone, when you have nothing left but a whisper of hope inside your chest. That's where faith becomes more than words. That's where it becomes a weapon. And the man God uses must walk through that furnace, not because God wants to watch him burn, but because he wants to teach him how to endure. The furnace strips away the superficial. It burns off the fear, the doubt, the false beliefs. It exposes what's real, what's unshakable, and the man who walks through it with faith will emerge different, refined, sharpened, steady, not because he avoided the flames, but because he faced them and still believed. This is the kind of faith that moves mountains, not the kind that demands comfort, but the kind that endures pain with purpose. The kind that says, even if I don't see the outcome, I still trust the process. Even if I lose everything, I still know I'm being led. Faith in the furnace is not loud. It doesn't need to be. It's steady. It's quiet. It's anchored in something deeper than emotion. It's built on history, on moments where God made a way when there was no way, on memories of past deliverance, and that remembrance becomes a fireproof foundation. A man with that kind of faith cannot be stopped, not because he's invincible, but because he's unbreakable. His confidence is not in himself, it's in who walks with him through the flames. So when the heat rises, when the trials intensify, don't run. Don't panic. Stand firm. Remember who you are. Remember who's shaping you. Because the fire that feels like it will destroy you is the same fire that will define you. And what walks out of that furnace is not the same man who walked in. It's the man who's finally ready. Greatness is never formed in the spotlight. It is shaped in the shadows, in the hidden places where no one is watching and no one is applauding. The most profound preparation happens when the world has turned its attention elsewhere, when the work seems unseen and the effort appears unnoticed. The man God uses is often called to toil in obscurity before he is ever revealed. It's in the quiet moments, in the lonely seasons, that his foundation is built. It's where his character is refined and his resolve is strengthened. The world may measure success by visibility, by titles, achievements, and accolades, but God measures success by faithfulness, not fame. He watches the man who works when no one sees. He watches the man who shows up every day, regardless of how far the goal seems. He watches the man who remains true to his calling, even when the crowd is silent, when the results aren't visible, when the rewards aren't immediate. It's in this obscurity that the man's heart is tested. It's where his motives are purified, and it's where his true purpose begins to take shape. This time of preparation may feel like a delay, like the world is moving forward while you remain stagnant. But the truth is, this is the season where God is doing the deepest work. He's removing distractions, he's building endurance, he's teaching you to trust him when the outcome is uncertain, when the road is unclear, and when it seems like nothing is happening at all. But trust this, nothing in the unseen is ever wasted. Every quiet moment is building something that will one day be visible. Every act of faithfulness is laying a stone in the foundation of your future. The man who is prepared in obscurity is not just prepared for the moment of exposure. He is prepared for the responsibility that comes with it. The man who has learned to labor in private will be ready to lead in public. He will not seek the spotlight because he knows that it is not his to claim. The purpose he carries is greater than fame. And when his time to step forward comes, he will do so not in arrogance, but in humility, with a foundation built in the shadows. Purpose is not a gift. It is a responsibility. The man who is truly called must be built, piece by piece, to carry the weight of his mission. This is not something given lightly, because purpose requires strength that cannot be faked. It demands a foundation of integrity, discipline, and resilience. Those who are chosen to carry purpose are often prepared through years of unseen, often painful, preparation. They are forged in the fire, tempered by the storm, and refined through the breaking process. But every trial, every struggle, every setback is shaping them to carry what others cannot. To carry purpose is not to seek recognition. It is to serve something greater than oneself. Purpose cannot be driven by selfish ambition, because its true power lies in sacrifice. It demands that the man walk with his eyes focused not on his own success, but on the impact he will have on the world. He must understand that purpose is not about what he can gain, but about what he can give. And giving demands a willingness to sacrifice comfort, convenience, and even personal desires, for something that will last beyond his lifetime. This is where many fail. They begin with vision, but they lack the character to carry it. They desire influence, but they do not want to endure the process. They dream of glory, but they do not want to go through the darkness that shapes the heart. But those who are truly built to carry purpose will not quit. They understand that purpose is not easy, it is not quick. It is not always glamorous, but it is always worth it. And the man who carries it knows that he is not carrying it alone. He is walking with a purpose that is greater than his own life, greater than his own comfort, greater than his own dreams. In the end, the man who is built to carry purpose is not the man who has the most accolades or the most followers. He is the man who has been tested, broken, shaped, and strengthened. He is the man who understands that purpose is not something to be achieved, it is something to be lived. And when he steps into his calling, he does so with the full weight of the responsibility he has been prepared for, knowing that he is not only fulfilling his destiny, but he is leaving a legacy for others to follow.